Welcome to the Perry Stone YouTube channel. I so much appreciate the hundreds of thousands of you that have joined and subscribed to our channel and are keeping up with all of our information, and also the number of people that I have met when traveling recently who tell us that they watch us on YouTube. We have a lot of people that are not necessarily connected with church or various religious backgrounds that seem to enjoy our teaching, and I want you to know how much I appreciate that. I'm going to get on a brief subject here to share with you something I think that's very important in the seasons of which we are heading in, and that is the importance of being debt-free. Now, to some extent, it seems there's always going to be some type of debt. There are car payments. There are payments that go to colleges for academic education. There are mortgages that are in, let's say, a home or sometimes property or a building. And there are other times that we have payments that come every month. For example, your electric bill, your gas bill, your water bill, the cost of transportation when it comes to whether you use diesel or even an electric car or a gas car, fossil fuel car they call it now. There's always going to be some type of debt. So when you say debt-free, it doesn't mean you're not going to have payments that's going to come that are things that you just deal with every single month. There are medical payments, for example. Sometimes people have to go to clinics for a brief emergency. Sometimes people are transported in ambulances. And of course, I'm always grateful, especially when you need insurance for a storm that comes by your house, or you have a car accident, or perhaps medical insurance. I'm very grateful for insurance that may be a good type of insurance that can help pay the payments and the bills. But there are many times, I believe, that men and women can waste their income or spend their income on things that really are not beneficial. And as a result of that, it runs up their bills or their credit card bills or things of that nature. I remember two scriptures that I want to give you that I have sort of based my whole ministry on since I was a teenager. And I was a teenager years ago, as most of you know. Just so you'll know, at the time of this taping, I'm 63. I started in full-time ministry when I was 18 years of age, so that tells you how many years I've been doing this. But in Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 7, it says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is a servant to the lender." And then in Romans chapter 13 and 8, it said, "Owe no man nothing but to love one another." There are examples in the Bible of people that had debts that they could not pay. One is a woman in 2 Kings chapter 4 and verse 7, that because of her husband's death and her inability to pay back a mortgage payment to the government in Samaria, she was going to lose her house. And the way that they were going to allow her to keep her home was to take her two sons and publicly sell them as slaves, which of course she didn't want to do, and no parent would. But she received a supernatural miracle, and there's a real story behind that story that I don't have time to tell, about her husband being Obadiah, according to the Jewish historian Josephus, and how that Obadiah had actually, well, I said I'm not going to have time to tell, I guess I want to tell it. Obadiah had actually put a mortgage against his home when Ahab was the king, to help feed the prophets that during a time of famine, a 42-month famine, and the prophets were hiding in caves from Ahab and Jezebel. And her husband had actually helped feed men of God. And she reminded the prophet of God of this, Elijah, of course, and he said to her to go borrow pots, and oil began to break out in her house, and she was able to sell the oil and pay the debt. It's a great story, but the background of the story is almost as fascinating as the biblical story itself. Now, I want to share with you our personal observation of many, many years of being in ministry and what we have tried to personally do, and the reason that we have personally operated in this area. For many, many years, we have discovered the importance of operating a ministry debt-free. Now, when I say debt-free, we pay people every week. We pay medical insurance for full-time workers. We have benefits that we pay our workers. And we pay postage to all that resource material that we send out. We have electric bills, we have tax bills, land tax bills and all that. So when I say debt-free, we're talking about the major facilities that we have built and the equipment that we operate with, like the camera I'm using here, and operating in a debt-free and having and paying for that, because we don't want to get monthly bills of we owe for this camera and here's a tax bill and besides your electric and postage and everything else. So what we've tried to do is we've tried to build our buildings debt-free. The second thing that we have attempted to do, and the Lord has helped us to do this, is our television airtime for the Manifest telecast that goes around the world reaches literally hundreds of millions of people throughout the year. The cost of that programming at stations and satellite stations that we use is $5 million a year. Now, if we look at that on a monthly basis, we would be receiving bills from, we do 70 tapes from 70 different locations every month. Now imagine your bookkeeper, besides paying all the other bills, having to pay 70 bills every month that come in. So what we do is we set aside the income from the purchases of resource material, money from the partners, etc., offerings, and we put it aside, and then when the time comes to make the payments, we pay a year in advance. Now, what's the wisdom behind doing that? Because number one, we don't use an agent, so we're not paying a percentage to the agent for us booking the airtime. We all do it ourselves with our inner staff. Number two is that many times a station will give you a credit of, I should say a deduction of 10 to 25 and sometimes 30% or more for paying 1 year in advance, because they know that you're going to be faithful to make the payment because you've paid for 12 months. So we've tried to operate in that way because we know it keeps 70 bills from coming to our office every month, overwhelming our bookkeeper. And we also know that we save. So we have to be good stewards of what we have. And so if we can save 10 to 25% on a payment, then that is wisdom. It's called being a good steward of what the Lord's given you. The other thing I want to point out to you is we built the Omega Center International, and some of you that come to our conferences, you've seen this beautiful facility. And the total cost of that facility with the land, with the equipment, with the building was about $22 million. So over a period of many years, we set aside the income, we raised the income, and the Lord really brought us several well-known business people, I won't name them, to help us finance this building so we were able to pay it off. Now, if we had not paid off the Omega Center International, my payments per month would have been probably $50,000 a month to $75,000 a month. Now, why is that important not to have those monthly payments? Because when COVID came and our Tuesday night services were impacted and no one could come to church on a Tuesday night and our conferences were impacted, we canceled 2 Warrior Fest, Prophetic Summit, a main event. There was all these events that had to be canceled that are so significant, bringing in tens of thousands of people into the town. Well, if we would have had those payments, we would have been very, very stressed out, and the borrower would have been servant to the lender. But because we didn't have that pressure, we were able to operate. Now, let me talk to those of you that are on church boards. You are elders, you are leaders, you are teachers, you're in the fivefold ministry. The reason it's important for a ministry to operate as much as they can from a debt-free perspective is the following. I have discovered that when a church needs $50 to $100 to $150,000 a month, I'm only using those numbers as an example, that it often limits the pastor or the leadership in their ability of speaking freely and giving people the truth out of fear that people will leave the congregation or they will just not give because of the type of message being preached. Now, here again is the blessing that the Lord has helped me with. I will come on and just share what the Lord has given me, what I feel in my spirit. And we do have people that will say, I'm not supporting you anymore because I don't believe in the coming of the Lord and the rapture, or I don't like the way you preach on the Holy Spirit. That's not how I was raised. And so we have that happen probably on a consistent basis. But it doesn't affect me. It doesn't impact me. It doesn't make me look at email and say, well, I just think I need to quit preaching on that because obviously people don't like it. My attitude is that what I give to you, I have to be very careful to know that I'm in the Word because I answer to God. And the Bible teaches that it is more serious to be a teacher in the eyes of God and on the day of judgment and to be responsible for people than it is to do just a normal ministry job that you would do maybe on a staff as far as the administration or things of that nature. So my point is that there are people who will use their giving almost as a weapon. They weaponize their giving. They'll say something like this, well, I'm not giving you a penny of my money. Well, I don't always see those emails or letters, but I will have my staff look it up and find out the person didn't give anything to begin with. It's almost like they like to use that as some kind of a power tool or weaponize it to intimidate or threaten you. Well, we're not going to intimidate that way. Do you know why? Because the buildings are debt-free. And with the help of the Lord, what I'm praying for you is that you will be able to slowly pay off your credit card bills, to slowly pay off your mortgages. Maybe not just slowly, maybe there's a way that you can do it so that when you get to your retirement years, you will have that sort of a nest egg there so that you can live, and I'm not saying people should have money and live elaborately, but you'll be able to live comfortably and be able to take care of whatever need you have and also to be a blessing at times to other people that may have a need. The reason that we want you to be debt-free is because you have the freedom to be obedient to the Lord as a minister when you are. You actually can sleep better at night knowing that you don't have all these payments coming due and you don't know where you're going to take care of that. And also, can I say this, and this is very important for ministers of the gospel. I always said to my wife from the very beginning, I never want to have to go and preach just to pay the bills and expenses of the ministry, whether it's the staff salaries, whether it's insurance. I am not going to do that. And so I have tried to do my best to keep that commitment of I will not preach for income. In fact, most of you don't know this, but when I go to speak somewhere, I do not send, as a lot of people do, a 3-page, 4 or 5-page contract with all these demands, and I have to stay here, and I need this and I need that, or a certain amount of income. And I'm not going to be critical of other people, but I know we have a worldwide ministry with a budget of $14 million a year, and I don't send out letters asking for money. I don't send out donor letters asking for people's help, and I never tell a church that I have to have a certain amount to come. There's times I've actually paid the expense, which was very expensive for me to fly to an area because I felt like the people didn't have the income to take care of the ministry. And so I just said, don't worry about it. So my point is, and I'm not boasting on myself because I'm only able to do this because of the wisdom and the direction and the help that God has given us. But I will tell you that I hope that you, if you're a minister or an evangelist or a prophet, pastor, teacher of the fivefold ministry in Ephesians 4, that you never get to the point that you have to minister or feel the pressure of ministering because you have to have the income to take care of the mailing list, the magazine, the printing of the books, the tapes, the CDs, or whatever it might be, or even pay for your building. So I'm praying with you, and I want you to, I want to agree with you, and I say this very sincerely, that you that watch this particular video, especially if you see it on my Facebook page or on YouTube. And we do love you to go to our YouTube channel because we always have an advertisement at the end on YouTube of something special that you can get and help us with our ministry, and we can be a blessing to you. But this is what I hope for you, that my prayer of agreement with you is that you will have the wisdom and the ability to be able to slowly pay off your debt, slowly use the wisdom that God gives you on excessive spending of things that you really don't need, and you will be able, as you get into your senior years, to have everything that you need to take care of you and to help you. I told my kids a while back, it's a little running joke in the family. I said, you know what me and your mom are going to do? We're going to eventually take everything that's your inheritance and we're going to spend it traveling and doing what we want to do in our latter years. I had to work very hard to have what God has given us and He's blessed us with, and I'm going to make you work as hard as I worked. And of course, they kind of look at me like that, and, are you really serious, Dad? And a good man does leave his children an inheritance, the book of Proverbs says. But I think you understand what I'm saying. I want you, your wife, your companion, to, in your latter years, 60s and 70s, 75 years of age, not to be under the excessive pressure that many people that age are under today. And one of the ways ways you do it is to be debt free. And I'm not going to tell you how and what to do because there's experts. I'm not the expert on the how. I know how to pray and believe God for His provision for my ministry and for my life. But you need to have a prayer life as well and listen to the voice of the Lord giving you inspiration or direction on what you can do. Well, that's just a thought that I feel like in the time that we're living in, especially the times of so many shortages and crisis and prices up, prices down, markets up, markets down. Simply use wisdom. If money comes easy, money goes easy. Remember that. And work hard and invest with wisdom. Anytime that you invest, do your research. Don't just do it because somebody else told you to do it. And always work again at being debt-free. And I'll give you that Romans 13:8 verse, which I love. Owe no man nothing but to love one another. And I've built my ministry on that since I was 18 years of age. So thank you, all of you, for joining me today. Keep watching. There may be a YouTube advertisement that will come up, but keep watching because we have something that we would want to share with you as well. God bless you. Did you know that many people are inheriting their ancestors' demonic attacks? What is the root problem when you can win a public battle, but you keep losing your private struggles when no one is watching? How can you drive out of your life spirits of depression and cutting and mental thoughts of suicide? Is there a way to get your mind back when you feel like that you are, as David said, at wit's end? Are there cracks in your faith? Is life full of continual physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual defeats? Folks, I want to teach you how you can learn spiritual warfare strategies from the battle tactics of famous military leaders that when you apply these same strategies, they work in the spirit realm. I will explain how a scandalon is designed to crack and weaken your faith. How will you overcome the biggest test that Satan sends you in your entire life? Discover how you can wear a shield of favor in your daily life. If you feel faint, weak, afraid, or faithless, you absolutely must read my 251-page landmark book, There's a Crack in Your Armor. Instead of losing all the time your spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional battles, go through these 17 detailed chapters loaded with spiritual and practical revelation and get ready to turn the battle forever and move it in your favor. I'm also going to include my 2-hour audio CD teaching. I think it's the most important message all year long, what I have learned about spiritual warfare in my lifetime. The Lord impressed me to teach you what the Holy Spirit has taught me for the past 48 months or so, and expose Satan's deception and his plots and explain how God's counterattack strategies will work if you apply them. Don't use the wrong weapon for the wrong battle. God has provided all that you need for each battle engagement. The book and CD are now available to the body of Christ. It doesn't matter what denomination you are or if you go to church or not. This is a resource that I think will bless you immensely. The book and the CD are available for your donation of $35 or more. Order by calling 1-888-21-BREAD, or you can go online at perrystone.org and order that way. Or if you would prefer to send it through the mail, you can send a check to Perry Stone Ministries, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320. This teaching and instruction is needed right now. I have never seen more people engaging in weird warfare and under mental assaults of the powers of the enemy. Folks, we have the weapons, we have the tools. God has given us the insight, and I want to take what I've learned, 46 years of ministry, what He has taught me, and get it into your hands to help you be an overcomer. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
If you enjoyed this YouTube content, there's an important website you should know about, perrystone.org. Perrystone.org is an essential resource for the latest books, audiovisual presentations, and digital products from Perry Stone Ministries. Resources that cover the same kinds of topics discussed in the program you just watched. Stop in and see all that's available at perrystone.org.